Hey VT, today we're learning a couple new things in Adobe Illustrator. We're learning how to use the pen tool to trace. We're going to use the side profile of our own face, and we're also going to learn how to use the clipping mask, which allows us to basically use the shape that we create to almost like a cookie cutter or something like that to cut the shape of your face out of a photo, and then put that on top of another photo to create an illusion similar to this here. So let's go ahead and look at some vector illustrations just to see the potential behind something called the pen tool. The pen tool is what we're really trying to learn with this practice piece. The pen tool allows us to create shapes that are organic, that have curves, and that are custom, so that we can draw really whatever we want to draw. So you can see by Googling vector illustrations, you can see tons of examples of things made with the pen tool. The actual tool itself inside of Adobe Illustrator kind of looks like this. Looks like an old-fashioned pen that one might use to sign the Declaration of Independence. Let's go ahead and go to Adobe Illustrator, and we'll start off by going to File, New, and creating a square document. I started off with a 12-inch by 12-inch document, and I just called it Wisser, or I'm sorry, my last name. So you would say your last name, pen practice. And we're going to make this a square document. So mine, I did 12 by 12 inch, as you can see here, and I hit OK. Once you have that square document, we're going to need to bring a photo in here, because drawing the side profile of one's face is not exactly easy unless you have a photograph of that. So what we're actually going to use is we're going to go back to the internet. You all have some apps, so I'm just going to open up a new tab and go to my apps list, and I have this app already added to my Google Apps called Webcam Toy. If you don't have it, just go back to Web Store, go in there, find it, and add it to your list of apps. You should be able to click on the Webcam Toy, and then you see a screen and the big pink button shows up that says Use My Camera. Once the app opens up, you just go ahead and click on that button, and your camera should show your face. And if it doesn't show up right away, make sure to check the top of the screen. The computers that we have at school have a lens cap that is located on the top of the screen. You just have to flip that switch to open up your camera. You might also have to click at the top of your screen. There might be another place where it says Allow Camera, and you have to click that. You might have to click to allow camera twice. So I'm going to take a screenshot, I'm going to take a picture with my webcam right now. I'm going to turn my head though so it gets a profile photo. That is probably the most difficult part about this assignment, is actually getting a photo of the side of your face. So keeping my mouse on the camera button and then looking away. So it always cracks me up to see the side of my face. I look really funny. And then when you have the picture that you want to, you just hit save. It'll plop down into your download bar down here. That, of course, isn't going to stay there very long, just because of the nature of the H drive at school. So you'd want to click on that, and you'd want to go to File, make a copy, and make sure that you save it in your H drive so that it stays there. Now that we've saved the photograph to our H drive, we're going to go ahead and we're going to just close down Google and open back up our Adobe Illustrator program. The way that we're going to bring in that photo that we just took is going to File, Place, and then finding that photograph that we just took and placing it into the document. I'm going to place it where I want it, and I'm going to stretch this so that it kind of fills, so that my face kind of fills the artboard. Holding down Shift, of course. And then when I finally have it the size that I want, I also want to click the Embed button at the top of the screen. So anytime you see something in Adobe programs that has a big X across it, probably not a good sign. So we want to make sure that we embed so that it's actually a part of the document, and so it'll stay there. The next thing that I want to do always is I want to go to layers, because for this particular assignment, now that I have the photo exactly where I want it, I don't want it to move, I don't want it to go anywhere, and I'm going to be drawing on top of this, similar to the doodle on a photo project, and I just want this to stay exactly where it is. So I'm going to lock this layer, and I'm going to produce a new layer by hitting the Create New Layer button at the bottom of the Layers palette, right next to the garbage can, and that produces layer 2. And this is the layer that I'm going to use to actually draw on. So now I'm going to go finally get over to the pen tool, and the pen tool is going to be used to trace my face. And so to make a shape, we have to start somewhere. I'm just going to start at the top of my forehead. And the idea behind the pen tool is that you don't want to use too many anchor points, because that line is going to be really bumpy and jaggedy. So I'm going to go back, Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, undo, 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 step backwards until I get back to that original point. And then the same goes for trying to produce the amount of detail that you want. And if you put an anchor point way down here and try to get the anchor point down here by pulling and dragging and getting a curve, but you can't get the detail that you want by producing very little anchor points. So it's kind of like Goldilocks in a way, because you have to figure out, like through practice, you have to figure out like the exact amount of anchor points that works best for you, or for whatever you're trying to illustrate. So as I go about this, I'm thinking, where do I actually need an anchor point? And then when I need to curve an anchor point, I click and pull to create those handlebars that create the curve that I need. Every once in a while, like in this scenario, I need to break the handlebar, so I actually, in the middle of pulling out a handlebar, I hold down Alt, and that's what allows me to break the handlebar, creating an obtuse or an acute angle for the handlebar. And now I'll continue to trace. One of the things that I like to do as I'm trying to trace stuff is I like to zoom in, one, so I can see better, and then two, I like to zoom in, and then the other thing I like to do is I like to stay always with the shape. In other words, for a curve like this, what I will do is I will come down here and I'll pull the shape, and I need to stay with the curve. I need to stay with the outline of the shape. So when I pull something like this to get the curve I need, I notice that I'm going off of the actual shape of my shirt. So that means I need to hit Alt and come back to direct the line. As I go forward on the next line, I have to bring it back. Otherwise, it's going to go all over the place. So I try my best to kind of stay with the curvature of the line, and I go all the way around my shape. When I get down to the bottom, this is the easiest part, because when I get down to the bottom of the artboard, then I could just come way over here. I can put the line kind of wherever, the dot wherever I want, the anchor point. And then I need to get back onto my shoulder and go back up the back of my head. This is another trick where now I can't see what I'm trying to trace. So what I do is for a moment, I flip-flop so that the fill goes to a no-fill, or I just enter a no-fill into the fill so it stops trying to fill itself in like as I'm going. Now I can actually see my shirt again, so it starts off down here. Undo is your best friend. Keep going until you get the curves you want. And then ultimately, we're not going to be great the first time we do this, so we're going to make mistakes. And that's totally fine, because one of the things that's great about Adobe Illustrator, like let's say I make a mistake and I go through sort of my hair here, and now I've completed the shape. I went all the way around to the very first point, and I clicked on that point to close the shape. So when I fill it, it's going to be a closed solid shape. But I absolutely messed up in several areas and I want to clean that up. Well, we're so good now at using the direct selection tool that it's no problem for me, now that I've created this shape, to edit the shape however I need it to be. Oftentimes I'll do the same tricks. I'll zoom in and I'll make the shape see-through by putting a no fill in the fill, and then I can see exactly what I need to do to fix the shapes. And all I need to do is move some anchor points. This one doesn't have handlebars, so we're already really good at converting anchor points to have handlebars, and we just need to adjust and move things around until we're 100% satisfied with our shape. So I'll keep working on this and fine-tuning it, and then in the next video I'll show you the next steps. So thanks for watching. Hope this goes well for you. Keep in mind that it's a difficult, like, the pen tool is a very important tool, but it's also a very difficult tool. So don't get too frustrated when things don't work out the first time you try it. Just keep pushing yourself and keep trying, and you'll get it at some point.